What's going on, everyone? And welcome to another edition of the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB, your sports guy. I'm joined by my good friend, catch him on Max Preps, catch him on Crescent City Sports, the one, the only, VK Jones. VK, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, people? Good evening. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Sunday afternoon to you. All the people out there on Facebook, YouTube, and all over the state of Louisiana and across the world. It's good to be here today, man. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm a little bit more coordinated and dressed up today instead of being in my abode home studio in remote location in uptown New Orleans today. I'm going to check out the Tulane women's basketball team taking on LSU this afternoon. So, just trying to be a little close by, but it's good to be here. We got a lot to talk about today.
We have a whole lot to talk about. Number one, we are hoping to have Coach Marcus Scott, the head coach of the Destrehan Wildcats football team. They are going to the state championship game this Friday night in the Superdome. We are hoping to have him join us. Just know that once you get to a state championship game, you become a very, very busy person. He told us that he would join us. So we're hoping that he still do that. We're going to talk about all the matchups this coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the Superdome, all 8 state championship games. We're going to talk about LSU losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game. We're going to talk about Tulane winning the AAC Championship. We're going to talk about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State for Colorado. That has a lot of people mad and this and that. And me and VK, if y'all was around us leaving a Tulane game last night, we were going back and forth about it too. So we're going to bring it here live and direct to you when we get to it.
Yes. But it's an interesting topic, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. But let's get right into what was just released about an hour ago, the college football playoffs. A lot of people thought Alabama would get in after USC and TCU lost. A lot of people had Ohio State getting in once USC lost. But here it is. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3 is TCU. Number 4, Ohio State. VK, I will start with you. Did the committee get it right?
Absolutely. The committee did a great job this time, and we knew there was some chaos a little bit, especially from Friday, that the USC Trojans had a chance to probably make it if they would have won the Pac-12 championship, but lost to Utah. Credit the Utah Utes getting that victory, and it opened some things up more than anything else, but more for Ohio State to probably get the spot. But also with Michigan taking care of business in Georgia, but TCU losing a close game to a good Kansas State team. The committee and credit them for still putting TCU in is the fact that the Big 12 is a very, very prosperous and very good conference. And the fact of the matter is they felt like that loss did not really hurt TCU at all. It's just the fact that, hey, Kansas State's a good team, lost a close one, and hey, they got one loss. We cannot let a two-team team get in the playoffs. So they felt like TCU deserved to get in. They had the guts to do it instead of putting in Alabama. Great job by the committee. I like what they've done.
All right. I need you to do me a favor right quick. Go ahead, text Coach Marcus Scott because he's trying to get on and he doesn't have his camera on. So it's there, but I need him to click the camera on because his camera is not on.
Okay.
If the camera ain't working, I'm still gonna bring him on. He can talk to us and all that good stuff. So while you do that, I'll talk about the playoff committee, the playoffs right quick. Yes, they did get it right. Top 2 teams are correct. Number 1, TCU is 12-1. They got to play in a conference championship game. Ohio State and Alabama were at home. They did not get a chance to play. Think about 2014 when Baylor beat TCU outright in a regular season game to be Big 12 champions. And they did not have a Big 12 title game. They sat at home while Ohio State played for the Big Ten championship game, played in the Big Ten championship game and won, and skipped over both of them, leaving them both out. So this is pretty much the same scenario. These guys, Big TCU, played in the Big 12 championship game. It's their first loss. Their strength of record is like number 1. So yes, they need to be in. Ohio State has a better record than Alabama against top 10 teams. 2-1 compared to 2-2. I know Nick Saban is talking about, how they lost at the end of a game for 2 games. But guess what? You lost twice, and you didn't play in no SEC championship game. LSU resume was better because they beat Alabama, who was 6, Ole Miss, that was 9th, and Mississippi State, that was like ranked in the top 20. They had a better resume and a better schedule. So, yes, the committee got it right. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this guy here, oh man, he was there. I saw him.
Yeah, he's having trouble connecting, so he's trying to get everything straight. I told him about the sort of icons they have on, but I think it might be something going on over because right now Coach Scott is, he's working. He's currently at Destrehan and getting all the preparations, getting ready for the long week for them because they have the regular Friday game. It's a championship, but they're scheduled Friday night. So this is like the first game of game preparation and all that stuff. So they got basically with a football week. And I tell you, give you a little inside scoop on it. Both of us, former football players ourselves, former high school football players, if you have a Friday game, your work week starts Monday, maybe with a little hitting, maybe a little workout, but mostly a little walkthrough, but film and all that. But you got at least 2 hard working days to get the fundamentals in, plays in. And usually the Wednesday, it might be a little bit of a special teams type day mixed in, and that's when you're seasoning the plays. And then the day before, even Thursday or Friday, the day before, it's mostly walkthrough. It's film and walkthrough to prepare for the game on tomorrow, on the next day. So that's how the work week goes, especially for football.
Gotcha. While he's still trying to get in. Who do you have winning the semifinals for the college football playoff?
Man, very good question. Hold on a second. Coach Scott's telling me that he see the screen. He can't hear or see you or whatever.
Okay. I gotta bring him in. If I can bring him in, then he probably better hear me.
Okay.
And then we can see from there.
I'm gonna let him know.
Okay.
Now, I'm about to send it, so I got it now. But my semifinals, man, it's gonna be a very good one. I'm gonna say this: Ohio State, Georgia is gonna be an interesting ball game, but I think the Georgia Bulldogs will get it done. I think they'll get by Ohio State. I think they'll get to the championship. It's gonna be a very, very close one, a very good game. Both games are gonna be really good. TCU, Michigan. I wouldn't want to pick the Michigan Wolverines because they have overcame everything to get to this point. But I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. TCU is a team of destiny. And I'm going to go with the TCU Horned Frogs going to the national championship game. And you spread apart of how that program has grown over the years, how they have overcame things, getting to conference championships, for them to go to a Rose Bowl, to go undefeated, and now for them to be in a position to be in a bigger conference and a chance for them to win a national title. I have TCU and the Georgia Bulldogs will move on to play each other in the national championship.
You got TCU defeating Michigan.
Yes. Team of destiny. Team of destiny.
Look, I'm gonna sit here and say this. I want Coach Sonny Dykes to get to the championship. I like Coach Sonny Dykes. He coached my brother at La Tech. Nice man, great coach. But they're not beating Michigan. They're not. Michigan got a good defense, a good running game that sets up a good play action passing game. Yeah, Blake Corum is out, but guess what? Donovan Edwards toting that rock, man. TCU in trouble this game, bro. That O-line gonna wear them down, and they're gonna be able to run that ball on TCU. I got the Wolverines winning. Now, you're giving Ryan Day pretty much 28 days, 27 to prepare for Georgia. He's gonna start tonight. When he's done with these interviews and everything, he's starting tonight to get ready for Georgia. They're about to prepare. And I believe you will see a close first half game. But then come that third quarter, I think Georgia, who we know is pretty much a second half team, will start to pour it on Ohio State. I'm picking Georgia. So I got Georgia and Michigan, your semifinal rematch from last year, becoming your championship rematch this year.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know that you know, I like what Michigan has done this year. Don't get me wrong. I like what Michigan, but the thing is, Michigan's gonna have to take charge from the jump against TCU, because if the game is close, TCU has came back and won a lot of games. So if the game is close, Michigan might be in trouble because TCU will find a way to win. They will find a way. So, that's why I'm thinking it is going to be TCU and it's going to be Georgia for the national title.
All right. Coach Marcus Scott, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Everyone, we have Coach Marcus Scott joining us, the head coach of the Destrehan Wildcats. He has led his team to a state championship appearance that will happen this Friday at 7:00 p.m. inside the Caesars Superdome. Coach, let me tell you, first of all, congratulations on the win, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Coach, my first question to you is, why did you ever want to become a head coach?
Well, I wanted to be a head coach because I thought that I would have the ability to influence the outcomes of the lives of young men. And so a lot of times when you're working for people, you know, you don't have you have some different ideas and stuff like that, and you would like to be able to implement, inside of your own program. But that being said, I think it's very important to be a good assistant coach and to learn. And I've been able to learn from a lot of every head coach that I've been able to work for. I took something from them that I implement to this day.
Coach, I know you used to work under Coach Hank Tierney at West Jeff. What did you learn from him?
Well, the tireless work ethic. Coach Hank is a grinder, and not only does he work hard, but he also has a compassion and a love for the kids outside of athletics, and so that's something that's very special, and that's something that I take with me, and he also takes care of his assistant coaches outside of football, so it becomes a personal relationship.
Coach, you've been to 4 straight semifinals, and Friday night you finally got over the hump by winning your first semifinal playoff appearance. Once the clock hit 0, what thoughts were going through your mind, and what emotions did you feel?
Well, the first thought was a sense of relief, and then the second part of that is just really grateful for the kids and for my staff and all the people behind the scenes, my family, that has been there from the beginning and seen all the heartbreak and all the tough losses, all the late nights, and so it's really a tribute to so many more people outside of myself.
Going back to last season when you lost to Zachary in the semifinals and going to your first practice in the spring, I would like to know what leadership qualities were shown from your senior class about not letting Destrehan down once again in the semifinals to get to the state championship game.
Well, at halftime, if I bring this back 2 years ago, my first year we were at Acadiana down 3-0 at half, and then came back and they beat us in the second half pretty good. Ended up losing like 28-0, and then at Zachary last year we were down 13-14 at half, and then end up losing like 34-13. So challenge to the kids were, okay, how can we get back? Now we're talking about a half of football. How can we get over the hump and be able to take that second half and really push through and get the job done? And so, ironically, we were down by one. I'm sorry, we were up by one this past Friday, and that was exactly what I said. I said, look, we get an opportunity here to right wrong, and so they came out in the second half and we made enough plays to win.
Before I pass it on to VK Jones, like we mentioned, you're going to the Superdome to play for a state championship. I know your kids are excited about playing in the Superdome, but how do you keep your team focused at the task at hand of winning a state championship?
Well, we're very familiar with Ruston. We've been able to play them the last 2 years in the quarterfinals, and both games were very, very tight. Coach Ball does a great job with that program, and so the focus. They understand who we playing, so they have a healthy respect for Ruston, and so the focus won't be an issue.
Coach, what's going on with you, man? Bro, it's good to have you on the show and everything. And first of all, I wanted to tell you how proud I am of what you have done and everything else. And off the some people are telling you congratulations right now in the comments. And a little bit between me and myself, ladies and gentlemen, with me and Marcus Scott. We're almost like family, but I also have covered him as well. So, but I'm proud of what you have done. And I know this is a huge stage and everything, but I want to ask you this first question. Do you think more than anything else that this is a manifestation of all the hard work you have put into this? And, that, everybody keeps saying we kind of cursed, but now all the curses and everything are gone.
Well, I talked about this a little bit the other day. Whenever in life, whenever you put your all into something and you're truly dedicated to it, and you just stick with it, and you're able to break through, and by doing things, trying to do things the best of your ability and never quitting, that is that's something that's truly gratifying. And that's a lesson to my own children and to the players that we coach, is that it can be
right. And taking a look at your coaching career, Coach, I tell you, 20-something years in the game, 20-something years, Coach, and it's something else to get to this level and everything. But also, you can say kind of a chameleon in this coaching game. You're just like almost like Robert Valdez. Robert Valdez, a former Eau Prairie Walker Charger, he adjusted it to the River Parishes and done very, very well. Yourself, you're a former Catholic leader. You came from Judgewood High School, and then all of a sudden you had to make the adjustment in coaching in the public school level more than anything else. and it seemed like the way you kept on growing, not just through Coach Hank, but other coaches, working in Texas, working at Nichols. I mean, do you think all that really contributed to you making the adjustment from being in the academy to coaching in the public schools?
Absolutely, and I'm very fortunate because I've had the rare opportunity to not only be a player in a private school and a public school, but also be able to coach at private school and public school, and also be able to coach in Louisiana and coach in Texas. And so one thing that I found is that kids are kids, no matter how much money they have, no matter how poor they are, they all
Bring them back in.
to help teach them life lessons. And so, through the years, I realized that it's not the kids at Clark had the same situations as the kids at Jesuit. It was pretty much the same when you really um, peel away all the layers.
Very much so, very much so. I mean, and over the years we talked about the certain issues and everything else, and it seemed like the opportunity kept getting bigger and bigger and everything else, especially when you left West Jeff, and then all of a sudden you come back to the high school ranks to John Eric, leading them to the state semifinals, and you were starting something new. How did it feel that when Destrehan High School came to you, because you was an assistant under Steve Robichaux, and it was a big time mutual feeling when I had with you when Coach Robichaux came to hug you after the game and everything else, because he really gave you a shot and a chance. But then on top of that, when he retired, he decided, hey, I'm going to refer this guy to get that opportunity. And how did it feel at the time after you made that run to Eric that Coach Robichaux and Destrehan High School said that we want to give you an opportunity to become head coach at Destrehan?
Well, it was great. I had established a lot of good relationships within the parish when I was here the first time as a coordinator, and a lot of the guys that's on the staff was still around, and so it was a good transition. And so Coach Robichaux has been around as a mentor. I've had some great guys. I mean, I started this business with under Spencer Ross at Clark, who got me into coaching from the very beginning. And I was about to go work at the bank, but Spencer Ross got the job at Clark and said, "Man, I need a DB coach." And so I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I did, but um, you know, that was my first opportunity. And from there, I worked under Vic Uman at Jesuit, who I learned so much about defense from. My head coach in Texas was a guy named Tim Takel, who was the Tom Landry Award winner a few years back. And so, obviously, about Coach Hank. I mean, I got a chance to work. So my point is, Steve Robichaux. I mean, I've had Tim Rebo. I mean, the guys who I've had the opportunity to be under and learn from is the knowledge is extensive, and I was, uh, just being a sponge and just try to take in everything I could and learn from those guys.
Coach, how it is being a trailblazer in St. Charles Parish. And it's something else, and I don't know if anybody knows this, and I'm going to say this. Marcus Scott is actually the first African-American coach who's led a St. Charles Parish team to a state championship game. But he was also the first coach that was hired, first African-American coach hired, but now the first one taking the championship. How it is, Coach, for you to be a trailblazer like that, breaking a lot of barriers for a lot of coaches who's trying to get to the next level of their lives?
Well, I mean, look, it's humbling, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who who never thought that day would come where African American have the opportunity to have this position, and a lot of people who I don't know blazed the trail for me to have this opportunity, and then one thing I realized when I got here is that the Fighting Wildcat Nation is very diverse, and we have so many people from all different ethnic backgrounds all over the United States that went to Destrehan, and so as proud as I am about being the first, I also realized that the many sacrifices that people have made, both black and white, for me to be in this position.
Wow. I'm gonna ask you this one more, and I'm gonna let Jared take over on the questioning. How it is now going into championship week. This is you've been in so many scenario situations. Now you got championship week, preparing for Ruston, and then on top of that, you got to deal with your players, coaches, the school, tickets, and all that stuff. Because I have been a couple times when Destrehan has been in the dome, and Destrehan shows up and shows out every time they step in their foot in that dome.
Well, it's obviously a new experience for me, but I've been able to lean on some people here that's actually some of the coaches on the staff have been through the process before going to the dome. And I'll call some of my friends in the business. I'll get on the phone with Bryce Brown at some point, and kind of pick his brain about preparation and things like that, and Taurus Howell, people like that who've been in this game multiple times, so and how to handle the week. But the logistics of it is, it's a lot going on. I'll be honest, there's a lot going on, and on top of that, we have leap testing this week at school, so it's a lot of things that need to be managed, and but this is fun, right? I mean, this is what we work for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach. So, Coach, I have family in Booty and Luling. My dad played football at Hornville. Of course, we know about the Jeffersons at Destrehan and other people that played at other River Parish schools. What makes playing high school football in the River Parish is so special?
Family makes it special. I can't tell you how many sets of cousins I have on my team, and they all grow up together. They play ball together since they were young. We have pictures of all our seniors, like as little bitty boys playing basketball together. It's truly a family atmosphere, and the community support is so it's really overwhelming. But a lot of it is because they are related. A lot of the players are related, and it's you can tell that there's a closeness with the community members, and it's special. I think those things, the fact that they're so close knit off the field, I think that carries on to the practice field and to the game field. I think there's a direct correlation between the two.
Coach, we will get you out of here with this last question. Besides wanting to win a state championship, what is the biggest accomplishment you want to achieve for your players?
I would like to be able to, however many kids we have in this program, that's the amount of kids that we would like to be able to release into society as responsible, respectful young men who one day will raise their families with values and morals and a work ethic. And that's the things that we try to preach outside of the game. And we really just want them to be good people. And we've been blessed because this group is they all are good players, but they're good people as well.
And coach, it's amazing how you have made like we mentioned, you made all the adjustments you have made in your career, but also, like we talked about Robert Valdez, how you have made that adjustment from being in the city, and now you're just used to being in that River Parish life because of all the places you've been from Thibodeau on, Luling on, and it seems like you've really created a home for yourself, coach.
Yeah, well, I have my parents, to thank for that because I grew up a all these parish public school kid, but then I transitioned to Jesuit High School, which was a totally different world. But what it did was it helped me be able to develop communication skills and and basically understand how that people are people regardless of their background. And so I basically had to learn how to basically adjust in different environments. And so that's been helpful. I mean, I some of my friends from Jesuit, we still talk on a weekly basis, so I'm very fortunate to have a diverse background.
And I'm gonna ask you this before we let you go. How would you feel you lead Destrehan to their fourth state title, and you being the third head coach leading Destrehan to a state championship? How would that ring to you?
Well, man, let's hope I have that opportunity to express how that feels. But listen, I'm looking forward to the opportunity. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to be the very best at anything, and so we're fortunate to have the opportunity um, to be the best on Friday night. So I'm sure it'll be very overwhelming.
Most definitely, Coach. Coach, we want to wish you good luck Friday night as you take on the Ruston. Um, go get it, Coach. Win that state championship. We'll be pulling for you.
Wish
Thanks
you
for
the
having me, guys. I appreciate it.
wish you the best, coach, and all the Dexter fans. Hope you be there on Friday. It will. And if you don't be there Friday, here the thing is, the game will be broadcast on Nash 106.1 FM in New Orleans, and also Nash 106.1.com. So that'll be one of, I think, 4 games will be broadcast through there and Crescent City Sports. So it will be a big one on Friday. And coach, I appreciate the time. We appreciate the time, bro. You're doing great things. Go get it. And we family. We love you and we're proud of you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
No
All
problem.
right.
Thanks, coach.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Marcus Scott, the head coach of the Destrehan Wildcats. He's led his team to the state championship game, which will be played this Friday night. Let's go over the game that happened Friday night with them and the Westgate Tigers. And I'm going to be very upfront. His defense to me is what stood out. And now the whole year, they've allowed 6.2 points a game. 6.2. It's pretty goddamn good. Had a couple of people that were sitting here saying they hadn't played anybody. They hadn't played nobody the whole year. And I told them, guess what? They played East St. John again, and they won by 1 point in a tough rematch. And then they took on the defending Class 4A state champions who scored over 30 points in every game except for 2 games. And they played in the toughest district in the entire state of Louisiana. And they held Westgate to 6 points. So say what you want about a soft schedule, but Destrehan is legit. And this game with Ruston will be a tough one. But going back to this game, like we said, the pick 6 that Destrehan got was pretty much the game changer. It was the game changer. And the drive, Destrehan's last offensive drive, they went down the field running the ball with Jai Eugene and Shane Lee. That Westgate D-line, that defense, they were tired. They were tired. You had Coach Antoine calling timeouts with 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. They were done. And I was truly impressed, but more impressed with Destrehan's defense on how they stopped this dangerous offense from Westgate. What you got to say, VK?
Well, what you said everything right then and there. You know, I'm very, very impressed at that. You know, my man Jared JB, you know, he did a little internship on that Friday. You know, he actually helped me out on the coverage because it was, I definitely appreciate you with that. And he was finally seeing the day in the life of what VK Jones does. But at the same time,
Yes.
you know, what he said is on the mark. Everything he's saying is off the mark. And to me, they're as good as a defense as the 2009 state championship team when they went back to back. And as that defense
08.
really,
08.
Actually, 08 is actually George Jefferson senior.
No.
We're talking about the next year.
No.
No, they went back to back, remember?
I know, but the games were played in 07 and 08. Remember, my brother played in 06, 07, 08, but he graduated in 09.
07, okay,
07,
I'm sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
07, 08, my fault.
You good.
Fault. 08, yes. The 08 team, when some people was like, well, Jordan Jefferson was gone. Winwood Smothers was the quarterback.
That's right.
And the offense was an up and down offense. They got it together a little bit late in the season. The offense just did enough, but the defense carried that team the whole way. You've seen it in the state championship game against West Monroe, how that turned out. You know what I'm saying? And that was led by Darian Centimore and company.
Yes.
That was a hellified defense and probably one of the best I've probably seen in a long, long time. So this defense is as good as anybody's in the state. They are. Reggie, we getting there. We coming in on that, man. We getting there. We getting there, y'all.
Stop trolling, Reggie. Be patient. We getting there.
Stop trolling, bro. We're exactly. The ultimate sellout is watching the show. I don't mean to say it like that, but regardless of the fact, I think Destrehan was on the mark. You play who was in front of you. You play who's in front of you, and I think they took care of business. I think those two big wins says a lot about Destrehan and how good they are and how good of an all-around state team they are. So it's going to be a very interesting game coming up, and I'm very happy for Marcus Scott. You've seen the emotions, but the emotion from both coaches. You know, both coaches gave all they had, and some people was like, well, look like they didn't have no handshake deals. But no, I think both coaches mutually agreed.
The coaches shook hands.
The coaches shook hands. The players, and I think both coaches had a mutual agreement not to have the players shake hands because I think they didn't want nothing to go down or whatever else. You know what I'm saying?
It's understandable when Destrehan hadn't been to a state game since 2008. I mean, not 2008, and since 16, I think 16 or 18. It's been some years. 16. Yeah, 16. So the
last time it was in championship, I believe. The quarterback from Nichols was the quarterback at the time. So, man, but
they were celebrating.
For them to get back, they were celebrating everything. But you didn't want the coach didn't want tempers flare, so that's very, very smart. And they both teams gave a lot of respect to one another. So you know, it was nothing bad. It was a hard fought ball.
Most definitely.
And hey, big time props to both coaches. And they was both Ryan Antoine and Coach Marcus Scott was very overwhelming with emotions after the game.
Definitely. And I want to get to Coach Antoine right quick, and because his Westgate Tigers are going to be back, without a doubt. They're going to be back. They're a very young team with a lot of sophomores, and they got to the semis and hung in there with a good Destrehan squad. Coach Antoine spoke very highly of Coach Marcus Scott and his team at the end. He's, as you can tell, very passionate about the game and very competitive. He took the loss kind of hard because he wanted to get back to the Dome, but he's going to be back soon, without a doubt. Go ahead, DK.
And I wouldn't be surprised they'll be back next year. They got a lot of players coming back. They got a good future with their quarterback. He's just a sophomore, and that's actually his cousin. So it's going to be – Westgate's going to be a dangerous team. It don't matter what format they have next year. They are going to be back strong. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Antoine family and the Westgate community.
Nice family. I'm glad we got to meet them, man.
Nice. It was a nice family, and the fan base was also gracious of what we did. I'm telling you now, Coach Antoine will let you know if I'm still with Max Preps next year. Even if I'm out of state, I'm going to try my best to get down. I want to come to one of your games. I want to experience the Westgate experience in person.
Definitely.
So shout out to that. But at the same time, the moment of moments was after the game where, Coach Scott was very emotional. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we see former Destrehan coach Steve Robichaux came to shake his hand and gave him a big old hug. And I mean, that's huge for him to vouch for him, to give him the opportunity to become head coach at Destrehan.
Yes.
And it was the fact, and I thought when he was at John Everett, I thought he was going to be there for a good little while. Great situation he was in at Everett. Great situation.
Agree.
But then all of a sudden, when I kind of had some inside sources telling me about what possibly about to come down the pike, and I was like, oh, I understand. And the John Everett people was very gracious of it and understood. It's an opportunity you cannot pass up. Like you talk about opportunities, we're going to talk about another story with opportunity, but at the same time, it was an opportunity that Marcus Scott should not pass up. Not too much pressure. We knew he had to get over humps. It took him a long time to win a first-round game, which got it done at Everett.
Think about that. 4 straight years. 2018 with Everett, and the past 3 years with Destrehan, getting to the semis, and finally this year he gets over that hump.
You get over 2 humps. He gets over 2 humps. 4 years straight, he couldn't get past the first round at West Jeff. So many close games, and all 4 of those games were on the road. They never had a home playoff game. He gets to Everett. They win 2 playoff games. He gets to the semifinals. And then all of a sudden, he goes to 3 more straight at Destrehan. And now he's got to get over that. Now I think things might turn great for him. And I'm telling you, all the pressure is off him. Destrehan loves him. It's great. And you never see an opportunity that an African-American coach would lead a St. Charles Parish school team. And now he's in a championship game. And it's great for the community. It is great for the state of Louisiana.
It's great overall. It's great. And I wish him the best of luck. And I'm pulling for him to win this championship this Friday night in the Superdome. I want to answer DJ 13's question because he posted a question right when Coach Scott came on. He asked if they picked the 4 already. And yes, the 4 is Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State. That's the 4 that will be in the college football playoffs. All right. So, moving on. LSU played Georgia in the SEC Championship game. And I think things took a turn for the worse when LSU went to kick a field goal and it got blocked in return for a touchdown. And just wasn't LSU's day, as many of us predicted, as Georgia defeated LSU 50-30. Quarterback Stetson Bennett, Rashawn's best friend, had a great game on LSU.
Put some respect on my boy's name, man.
Okay. Anyway, go right ahead and what are your thoughts about the LSU game?
Well, LSU did come to play. They did come ready. It was just unfortunate, especially, and you should have seen it. I know you've seen the play. One of the slickest plays of the year. Not just great, slickest, because they seen it, and basically they pulled something the car did years ago on special teams. Somebody left the ball there, and it's like, yeah, you're going to sideline. Boom, bruh. That was that broke the back of LSU from the jump. That broke the back of LSU
Immediately.
there immediately. And you see, LSU kept fighting, and I give them a lot of
They
credit.
fought. Yes, they fought.
They kept fighting, and credit to Brian Kelly for not letting them people quit. Not at all. Too bad that Jay Daniels got hurt, and Nussmeier, he played hurt, and Nussmeier didn't play too bad either, you know. But Georgia was just a better team, and they continue to prove it. Stetson Bennett proving everybody wrong, including you and you and you and you. You know, I'm sorry, that's my inspiration in life right now. Is Stetson Bennett.
He could be inspiration. He ain't getting
It's
drafted.
inspiration in my life.
Go ahead, though.
Yeah, all I'm gonna tell you, he might be the next Tom Brady and gonna shut all y'all up. That's what it is.
Next
That's
time,
what it
Brady.
is.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm not saying the greatness of Tom Brady. I'm saying how his story was, how he had overcame all that stuff because he was a non-starter in Michigan. Remember that. But regardless of the
At least
fact,
Tom Brady was drafted.
that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. But watch when Stetson gets drafted. Stetson's gonna slap all y'all. That's all I gotta say. The experience that he's had and all he's overcome. I say he's an inspiration to me because he was a walk-on. He didn't wind up getting playing time. He transferred to Jones College, which he really killed it in the MACC. Then all of a sudden Georgia brings him back, and it had to take two starting quarterbacks that proven to be not as up to snuff than you think. And Stetson Bennett comes in there, wrecks shop, and gets Georgia the national championship. I'm not saying he's the great. He's going to be definitely up there with the greatest quarterbacks ever to come in Georgia. To me, one of the best I've ever seen was the quarterback that's not really playing right now. And too bad his career is not taking off in the NFL like we hope it was.
Who?
Who was the quarterback for Georgia at the time when he went to the playoff one year? Yes. Jake Fromm was a killer at Georgia. Straight killer. Probably the best Georgia quarterback I ever seen. But it's amazing how Stetson just came in there, wreck shop, not make too many mistakes, and starting to have some swagger too. So I'm starting to like that as well. Because sometimes you got to put your nuts on the table and see what happens. You lays a call with him, man, and he gets it done. So Georgia,
you know who would have been the greatest quarterback at Georgia? Who was better than Jake Fromm? Who was sitting the bench and he transferred to Ohio State? You know who would have been better?
Oh Lord,
Justin Fields.
Yeah. How he's doing so? How he's doing so far in the league?
He's doing so far in the league. He's doing okay this year. I'll be honest with you. Wait till next year. Bears going to playoffs next year. I promise you that. But yeah, what Jake Fromm doing?
All I'm gonna tell you,
Justin Fields out there bench was like, over me. Peace out.
You know who's better than Justin Fields?
Who?
See, Jimmy Crawford. Thank you, my man. Thank you, my man.
DJ
Thank you, man. DJ Shockley. DJ Shockley was the freaking truth, dog.
No, he was good, but he ain't
the truth. You see what he did against LSU? Come on, bro. The freaking truth, dog.
Justin Fields does. No shot.
DJ Shockley, big dog. Now, I ain't gonna lie. Stetson Bennett is not better than DJ Shockley. I'll most definitely say that. But definitely say that.
We talking the best quarterback ever from Georgia. You might as well say Matthew Stafford.
Jake Fromm is the best I ever seen.
He ain't better than Stafford. No shot. No.
Now Stafford, I'm saying Stafford wasn't bad. Fromm was a killer throwing that football. Now, career-wise in overall in NFL, yeah, you could say Stafford. You can absolutely say Stafford without a doubt.
Matthew Stafford did great with less. Jake Fromm and them had talent from what Kirby was able to get. I don't know
about that. Jake Fromm was a
dude. Look at the team now. Look at Georgia now. With Kirby recruiting. Come on, man.
But Jake Fromm threw that ball well. You had to think. Georgia always been, even when Kirby Smart there, run first team. always been, and that kind of changed.
I got a no Sean Marino. I got Ty Gurley and Nick Chubb. Yeah, I'm running the ball too.
Garrison Hurst. It's amazing how it stays with that formula. But I'm just saying, all I know, put some respect on my boy Stetson's name. He's a champ.
Stetson Bennett wins another national championship. They're gonna put a statue up of him. I guarantee.
Exactly. I'm telling you.
I'll give you that.
Think about this, bro. You have to think about this. You have to think the last time Georgia has been in this stage before. Like, I mean, they've been in close stages, but just didn't get crossed there. But then you talk about Andy Murray, like his comments and all that. And I always say to this day, the same idiot that didn't know how to do a 2-minute drill and could have beat Bama. So people got to watch that sometimes. But my thing is, yeah, he's going to get a statue. The last one who got him in that level was the guy that's running for Congress. And hopefully they don't freaking win. And that's another subject for another day.
Yeah, leave politics out.
Yeah, politics out on this one. Sports show. Right. But let's move on. But big ups going to Georgia.
Definitely. So I'm glad this guy just decided to pop on in. We're gonna bring in our good friend Mr. George Peppers here. George, how you doing?
Doing just fine on this Sunday afternoon. How about you guys?
We are great. Before we move to the next topic, answer this question.
All right.
In your opinion, who is the greatest quarterback to ever play at Georgia?
That ain't Stetson Bennett.
I knew it. The president of the Haters Club here. Go ahead,
no,
George.
Man, stop it. It ain't about being hater. Stop it. If you put him in that pedestal, you're tripping. Oh, goodness gracious. Let me think. Matt Stafford would be up there.
There you go.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, he'd be one of the ones. I on a whim, I would go him. I mean, I could say Jake Fromm, but and forget what he did in the NFL. But what he did at Georgia, he did great things.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I've been saying that.
I didn't disagree with you, but I was just saying. Yeah. I think Matt Stafford over Jake Fromm.
In a heartbeat, I would take Matt Stafford over Jake Fromm. It ain't close. Only because Stafford had sustained success and channeled into the NFL. I mean, he got him a Super Bowl last year with the Rams and whatnot. But what is this debate about? I mean, really, it's Matt Stafford. Jake Fromm had a good college career, but nothing exceptional. Stafford was more transcendent, if you want me to be honest.
You got people in the comments saying DJ Shockey. I think DJ was good, but I'm not putting DJ over Matt Stafford.
No. Shockley had wheels, something Stafford don't have.
Mm-hmm.
But
and Shockley had an arm too. You can't forget that. He had an arm too. So don't you say his legs after what he did at LSU.
I did not say. Wait. Before you interrupt, sir, I did not say that he couldn't throw the football. Was not those words did not come out of my mouth. Shockley had a good. But the question is, according to Jared, who's the best Georgia quarterback ever? It's Matt Stafford.
Okay. All right.
It's a question.
Let's move on. Tulane University won the American Athletic Conference Championship with a 45-28 victory over UCF. The three of us were there. George, you can go first with your thoughts about the game last night.
Well, I mean, the game itself was a gamut of emotions, wasn't it? I mean, Tulane got off to such the white-hot start, got the 24-7, then 31-14 lead. And when Gus pulled the backup and put in John Rich Plumlee, things started to change. And I can promise you, of the 30-something thousand people that were there, the three of us included, I can promise you the first prevailing thought was, oh no, we're going to lose it. Because that was Tulane's mantra early. They would build these excessive leads and then teams would make adjustments. But you know what I saw yesterday from Willie Fritz? When it got 31-28, they needed that play. And the run of the year in all of college football, we witnessed in Tajay Spears. I think he used every bit of Yeoman Field to do that, to run 63 yards, I think.
60-yard touchdown.
60. Now, Tulane did something they didn't do. They've done the last 3 weeks after the UCF loss, where we were there that day too. They played their most complete game against SMU. Then they used a lot of character and moxie to come back at a tough Cincinnati team and win. And then yesterday at 31-28, it was like, oh boy, the outcome was big time in doubt. And they needed an answer, and they got it. They've shown the ability to close 11-2, and the Cotton Bowl awaits in Dallas, Texas at Jerry World against, I believe, USC is going to
Well,
be the matchup.
they haven't announced it yet, but I'm sitting here waiting. But more than likely, that's what it's going to be.
Now, with that said, I got to address something off the field with Tulane. After every score, they do the Tulane fight song. Well, Bashan and I struggled. I'll say it. He'll say it. We couldn't get the verses. So what we did the Beethoven orchestra conductor. We used our fingers and did the wave, and then when they hit Tulane, we cheered Tulane. We couldn't get the words.
It's on the big screen to follow. It's on the big screen.
Well,
to your right.
Try looking over him and the 30-something thousand people. I couldn't get a good look at the screen. They were in my way, dude. I mean, I had interference, and it was him and about 30 dudes, and I was like, I couldn't get a good look at the screen.
You could have told me to just see the screen.
At least I'll say this though, on a personal note, it was a great experience to be there with you guys yesterday, and it was a memorable one. I'll say that because we got to see a conference champion crowned, a deserving one. And look, I may be in the minority, but Willie French has to get some mention for Coach of the Year at 11-2, and Kansas State makes Tulane look even better by winning the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yes. If at least Fritz gets in the conversation for Coach of the Year, guys. I mean, he may not win it. I mean, it's probably going to be Dykes out of TCU, but Fritz has to be in the conversation.
VK.
Man, I gotta tell you, that experience yesterday, it really was something. It really made me think about life in itself. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been through a lot of things and all that stuff. And, it's been, like I ain't gonna lie. A week ago, I turned 44. And gone through a lot on my mind mentally. And I remember like a couple years ago, like Tulane talked about the pandemic, and especially Michael Pratt, who won the MVP, talking about all the stuff they had to go through to get through that, and then with Ida and all that. Like I kind of went through some similar things, having certain media things taken away from me, life and all that other stuff. Being, I'm dealing with life now, but being there yesterday was absolute unbelievable. I'm embracing what I missed here. I'm embracing what I have I love it, man. Football weekend, Fridays, Saturdays, it's it. And look at what happened yesterday. I mean, the way that Tulane put the game away. The defense, some way, somehow, cracked down and finally got the plumber. Everything was coming together, despite the certain decisions of the game. Tajay Spears with almost 200 yards. Michael Pratt with almost 400 yards. I mean, bro, everything, the proof is in the pudding, and big time props going to the Tulane fan base. We said it ourselves. The biggest challenge you have to face, are you going to stay for the game, or you're going to come back in the second half and sit in your seats, which they did. Packed crowd, and we outnumbered the UCF fans. So I'm very, very proud of the Tulane fan base, and I'm hoping to see a bunch of them today for LSU and Tulane at 4 o'clock for the women's game. But man, I'm so proud of that Tulane fan base. This is something that it well deserved. And also, we've seen a field storming after the game, the students and everybody, and nobody got hurt or anything. Hey man, this is a life moment for the city of New Orleans and a life moment for the Tulane fans. So big ups to the Tulane Green Wave. Congratulations to Willie Fritz and the squad.
When you go to that basketball game, VK, make sure you get a picture with the trophy, because they're gonna display the trophy at the game. So get your picture. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the Tulane offensively, it was the best play calling I've seen all year from Willie Fritz. I just didn't like the 4th and 1 on his own 30 when he went forward and they didn't get it. Other than that, I had no complaints about his play calling. Very aggressive, mixing the run and the pass. I liked it. Defensively, we knew Plumlee was hurt. He couldn't run like he used to. So that was another added bonus for Tulane. So able to keep him contained and not have him run. He couldn't run. We saw it. He got chased down a couple times trying to run. He could not run through that injury. And the fan base, you spoke of it. All 31,000 seats sold out. And everyone was there. Everyone on the club side was there. And they were ecstatic. The student section, they took up about 6 sections of the stadium. Loud, making noise the whole time. It was the best in regards to atmosphere, the best game ever at Tulane Stadium. It was amazing. And then they stormed the field, like you said. It was a sight to behold. History was made. I'm happy for Tulane University, the football team, the alumni. I'm happy for everything about Tulane. This is history. They're going to the Cotton Bowl, supposedly. They haven't announced it yet, but that's where they're supposed to go. I mean, man, you haven't been this excited for Tulane since 1998 when they went undefeated. And that team didn't go to a major bowl. They went to the Liberty Bowl. So, that being said, I am ecstatic for Tulane University. Best football team in Louisiana. I don't care what my uncle says. Nah, I had to get that out there.
Yes. And the thing was, and you look at it, Tulane is the big story of the weekend. I don't care about anybody. We understand LSU. We'll talk about Southern Southeast in a minute. Great runs for these teams. Great Saturday regardless. But Tulane, regardless, they're the story of the weekend in sports in Louisiana, period.
Story of the year?
Yeah.
Sports story of the year? I mean, it has to be.
Yes, absolutely. Sports story of the year. Overall and in Louisiana.
You mentioned LSU and Southern VK. Put Southeastern Louisiana in there. They were in a very white-hot battle yesterday at Sanford. And Cephas Johnson on the first possession of overtime gets a first down at the 2 and calls up the ball. Sanford recovers. They get the ball back, and they score, and they win. But Southeastern, another great year where the former Tulane coach, former Tulane assistant coach, Frank Selfo, is now the head man at there. And he's done a spectacular job at Southeastern. And kudos to them as well for another good year.
Definitely.
And Southeastern got a great future. They got a great future. Nichols will be back next year. The Southland Conference is really, really tough, man, regardless of the fact.
Nichols will be back next year. I don't think so.
I think Nichols are going to be back. They were very young this year. Trust me, they will be back. As long as Tim Rebowe is coaching, they will be back. Most teams, they go through a downslide. You know it. Everybody knows it. But the next year, they'll get better.
I'm going to say this, bro. If he didn't do Lindsey Scott wrong, he had Lindsey Scott this year, and they'd be winning games. Plain and simple.
Well, I'm going to say this about Lindsey Scott. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you a little bit. But hearing some other things outside, Lindsey Scott hurt himself. Just to be honest. Because I heard some sources, Lindsey Scott kind of hurt himself in the process. To be real. I'm talking about there was certain decisions off the field he made that kind of got him in the house, and things shouldn't have went the way it did. Just saying on that part.
Well, I'm gonna say this,
and we talking about not just at Nichols, we talking about other places as well. Like, listen, I'm a supporter of Lindsey Scott as much as you. Trust me. But some people sometimes make mistakes that sometimes is hard to come out of. And sometimes, people sometimes got to be held accountable for what they do. And that's just what it is, man. I know Lindsey Scott probably is killing it in Incarnate.
He killed it.
Completely
He
killing
came
it.
back here and showed Nichols, I'm going to show y'all, and that's what he did. How you start the whole season, and then all of a sudden you don't start the final 3 games?
I don't know.
Right.
Niggas ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry.
I think Nichols is gonna get back, and to be honest with you, I think they will. It's
Okay.
just the fact there was some other things that he did
Oh no.
that got him in the hole. That's just what I heard from inside sources.
Can I
You know what
interject?
I'm saying?
Can I interject something here?
Of course.
Lindsey Scott said,
Right.
Lindsey Scott said incarnate word, right?
Yes.
Okay. Incarnate Word won their playoff game yesterday. They're into the FCS quarterfinals.
Yep.
Lindsey's doing pretty well. And whether he's stuck at the Nichols or not, his team's still playing ball. And Nichols didn't even make the playoffs. Now, will Nichols make it back? I trust in Tim Rebo, but the depth of competition with Sam, with Southeastern, and Incarnate Word, and McNeese is on the come. It's gonna be tough sledding. Just my opinion.
I think Sam is in another conference now, and
They're
McNeese.
supposed to have left, but they went back to the Southland.
Ooh,
They were supposed to go to the
really?
WAC, but they went back to the Southland.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
That's good. That's good to know. So that's really big for them and everything. But at the same time, I don't know how long. I think McNeese might get back into it. But I think as long as Tim Rebo is there, Nichols is still gonna be in the cusp. Just saying. It ain't like it's nothing bad.
It's over.
You have to look at the past. No, it ain't over. Trust me.
It's over.
It's not over.
It's over.
It's not over.
It's done.
It's not over.
Done.
Dang, you really don't like Tim Rebo. That's what I think.
No. Wait.
Okay,
Whenever I say anything about Tim
go ahead.
Rebo, I never said anything about Tim Rebo. Wait a minute now. I never said.
No, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but just saying.
Yeah, no, I never said nothing about Tim Rebo ever as a person, coach, none of that. I never said anything. I said he
What you think the job
area, he know the area out there where he's at. He should be able to get the players. I think what happened with him and Lindsey Scott was a mistake on his part. That's it. I never said nothing bad about Tim Rebo.
You think he's done a great job with the program?
I think he has, but I think ever since this incident where he benched him when they were doing well with him, I think it's going downhill.
We'll definitely see. We'll definitely see from now.
Yes, sir.
We will definitely see.
And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna come in and say I'm wrong. You know that. But man, Lindsey Scott was turning up for Nichols, man. All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
That was interesting. So yeah, let's move on. Man. That was interesting.
This should be interesting too. So as you all know, Deion Sanders left Jackson State University to go coach in the Pac-12 at Colorado University. And us three, as we are leaving the Tulane game, we had a big discussion about this. Discussion so big, man. VK started sweating. His whole head was sweating, boy. He was so into it. He was so animated, boy. His head started sweating, man. He was so into it. But so we might get back into it right here for you all to see, like really hashing it out for real. But I'm gonna go first with this, ladies and gentlemen. They got a lot of people mad at Deion. I had a good friend of mine, okay, and I work with him, and he's a white guy, and he's upset with what Deion has done. He wants Deion to stay at HBCU, and do everything that he said he was going to do. I'm gonna go first. Deion got that job. I sat there and said, Deion is saying all of these things to sound good on TV and to get players to play for him. I also said, give Deion a couple more years. He is going to bounce for a bigger school because that's more money. More money. Deion said earlier this year, man, he'd be a fool not to listen to the Power 5 schools. He'd be a fool. Did he not say that? Yeah, he did. And now he took the job for Colorado, and he gives a speech to his players. Two things happen as a coach. You get elevated or you get terminated. Let me say that again. You get elevated or you get terminated. So think about it. You get elevated. Yeah, Jackson State was a stepping stool to get to the next level. Man, like people, let's not be blind by what he's saying. Come on, the man was making $300,000 a year at Jackson State. I mean, somebody come to me and say, "Hey, man, we want you to be next to Colorado. We're gonna pay you $7.5 million, and you get bonuses." Peace. I'm gone. I'm gone. George Peppers, you gone too, right?
In a heartbeat. I mean,
Okay.
where do I sign?
Thank you.
But to your friend's point, so in essence, we're going to keep the minority down by staying at an HBCU and not bettering himself. Deion Sanders had no coaching experience before he went to Jackson State.
He was
Oh,
an
by the
offensive
way,
coordinator for a high school. Offensive coordinator
yeah,
at
but
a high school in
I'm talking
Dallas.
about, excuse me, at this level,
Yes, sir.
at the collegiate level. That's what I mean.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Let me qualify that. He had no coaching experience at this level of competition. He does 3 years, 2 years, 3 years
3.
at Jackson State. 2 SWAC championships. Now a second consecutive berth in the Celebration Bowl, which is for the HBCU National Championship, now upcoming against North Carolina Central. I don't think he's going to coach in that game. I think yesterday was the swan song.
Mm-hmm.
So from 300,000 to 7.5, I just want to make sure they spell my name right. But for Deion Sanders, kudos to you. Why? Because you are the definition of a player's coach. If you've ever watched his pre-games and his locker room speeches, there was one where a player's cell phone rang, and he went straight nuclear on this dude. He goes, if that's more important than what we're doing in here, get out of my locker room. That's the kind of coach he is. I want that guy. Colorado, yes, they've been a dormant program the last 3 years. If Mike McIntyre can win in Colorado, and with Deion's propensity to recruiting, Colorado's going to bounce back. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, USC and UCLA are exiting the Pac-12. Opportunity knocks. The state of California is going to be a prime spot to go get recruits. And you can't tell me with a straight face you cannot out-recruit Oregon, Oregon State, Washington State. You cannot out-recruit them when you poached Travis Hunter, who's the #1 player in high school football last season, and got him to leave Florida State, a Power 5 school, for little bitty Jackson State. I'm not saying little bitty. I mean, they are a much smaller scale.
Correct.
But you can get that guy. How the heck can you not recruit at Colorado? Kudos to you, Deion. Much respect to what you did at Jackson State. But look, 7.5, and it's not chasing the bag. It's chasing, higher, being a higher God kind of guy, and showing that black men can coach at this level. There have been some that were given unfair opportunities. In other words, given opportunities, but then having it taken away from them. Case in point, Tyrone Willingham years ago at Washington. Deion now has a prime golden opportunity in Colorado. That program will be a bowl team in a year. Watch. With his propensity to recruit, oh, sure, Sanders is going to make the trip with him. So immediately the quarterback position is going to be fixed. Now, if you just recruit and hit the transfer portal, Colorado's a bowl team next year if they do it right.
I'll say this before I bring in VK. Tyrone Willingham was at Washington, and then he went to Notre Dame. I think you meant Notre Dame, how Notre Dame did Tyrone Willingham wrong.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Deion put out a video already on YouTube of them touring the facilities at Colorado, and his son, the quarterback, was with him. So he's going.
For over 100 years.
Now, VK looking up film. I can hear it. But I'm about to bring in. Yeah, I can hear it playing, VK. Yeah. I'm about to bring in VK because VK was in total disagreement with me and George Peppers last night about Deion leaving. So I don't know if he had a change of heart over the past hours since then, but we bring in VK back. VK, go ahead.
I actually had to do some thinking last night. It was an intense conversation. And if you people thinking that we're about to hash it out, like you said, I think after a conversation I had last night with one of my close people, and a video that I'm pulling up right now, that one that I'm gonna play a little bit of. Somebody that's close to Jackson State that has a daughter that goes there. and was watching the championship game. And they said the fan base actually booed for Deion Sanders. And I mean booed him because I'm like, they seemed like they was upset that he's leaving for Colorado, which I was like, wow. But then on top of that, looking at certain situations of the whole thing and everything else, especially with how Jackson State, how the city of Jackson didn't take advantage of this and everything else, I had a kind of a change of heart because I had to rethink this out. I really gonna have to send it. I'm gonna have to send this link to both of you, George, and to you, Jared, to listen. But I'm gonna play a little bit of a clip. I don't know how to do the share screen, but I'm gonna play it. You probably can hear it, but I'm gonna play a little bit of the clip, and I want you to hear this. This is from HBCU Game Day. Tully Carr, who leads everything. Big shout out to him. He talked with Uncle Neely from the pregame show. And that's the pregame show before the Jackson State broadcast. And they do a lot of stuff on YouTube as well. So listen a little bit to what they were talking about with Deion, especially with Jackson State and also the city of Jackson.
There's a prime time to be in Jackson campaign. Why the Hughes have missed out on.
What have you tangibly seen? I know we got the turf and the field, but just the campus overall. Have you seen things that you're like, wow, this exposure is like paying off like right now in the moment?
Yeah, I think it's the intangible, man. You know, you talk about, when you're taking it back because kids, student athletes, college students are treated and traded like a commodity. But we have to realize that there's a business to college athletics. There's a business to college football. And I do think that in a lot of ways, Jackson State University, the city of Jackson, Hinds County, the state of Mississippi, and even HBCUs have missed out on the business impact that could take place having a Deion Sanders in your mix. But when you look at those intangible things, the energy here, the pride here, people walking around with a little more up to them. Even when Coach Prime has asked for a weekend of no crime and no murders, and it happens. Just to have that kind of gravitas from the leader is phenomenal. But when you look at, again, Tolly, going back to this notion of what if he were to leave, when you look back at the past 3 seasons, why there was no state of Mississippi tourism or city of Jackson Business Bureau, there's a prime time to be in Jackson campaign. Why the hamburger place doesn't have a 21-ounce burger? Why the daiquiri shop doesn't have a blue and white 21-ounce daiquiri on their menu? I think things like that were just missed opportunities here. And should he remain, that's something to be capitalized off. But when you ask me where are those physical changes, when you get a guy like Deion Sanders in the mix, a unicorn, you get a unicorn, there's only one of them. You got to make it work. You got to maximize it.
Yeah, when you get a unicorn.
Now, hearing that, and I'm gonna send you the link, George and Jared. I hope you heard everything now.
Yeah.
Now, the main thing I took from that and looking at the whole thing was, and at one point in the interview, he said Jackson State did not offer and give Deion a bonus last year after what Jackson State did, getting the SWAC championship on the Celebration Bowl. So there was no kind of incentive offered to Deion, and then also the marketing part. So seeing that, and then also hearing about the Jackson State fans, I'm with you guys. I kind of don't blame Deion for taking this opportunity. I don't at all. Go do what you got to do. Go make the money. The bottle is $300,000. That's chump freaking change. And for anybody, Jackson State and the city of Jackson has missed this opportunity and it has passed them by. And if they would have did what they're supposed to, maybe Deion would have stayed one more season. Maybe. But they didn't do what they're supposed to, and it opened up for Deion to talk to other people. And it opened up more for Deion to be like, you know what? If the deal is right, I'm out of here. And it's a shame because of what Deion has done for not just HBCU football, But for Jackson State itself, fixing the facilities, putting his money up, where was administration? Where was the city? It's a freaking amazing to me. And it just shows how stupid HBCUs are sometimes instead of looking at the bigger picture to do what they do. People keep talking about all the rules of the state, all the rules. All I'm going to say is, and excuse my French, nigga, you scared. You scared. Because Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they break all the freaking rules. They've been doing it. And you scared to get caught? You got to do what you need to do to maintain your program. The government don't care about HBCUs. They never did. So guess what? You don't want to take the opportunity and maintain Deion Sanders and maintain the momentum you got. And then the audacity of the Jackson State fans to boo him instead of going in the crowd unison and say, thank you, Deion. Thank you, Deion, for a program that has not been relevant in a decade. Enjoy what you did to Southern, because that's not going to happen again. Jackson State, that's your funeral. Your funeral has just happened yesterday.
You know why some of those boos happen? Because these fans were not thinking outside of the box.
Exactly.
These fans really believed what Deion was saying. I mean, look, let's think about this. This ain't Eddie Robinson and Pete, what's Pete
Richardson.
name? Richardson. It's not them. It's not them staying at those schools for forever. And I mean, if you got a chance to go to a bigger school, you leave it. We just said Mike McIntyre. He was at
Colorado.
San Jose State, and he went to Colorado. Sonny Dykes, LA Tech, went to California. The same time, your guy Utah State, he went to Wisconsin. When you get a chance, you're going, and that's the same thing. So
I agree with that.
It's not thinking outside the box.
I agree with that. And my stance at first was the fact that I think Colorado's dead end. And then on top of that, why would you and then Jackson State messed themselves up by not taking advantage. I think Jackson State effort was poor. I think they should have had a better effort. I don't think Deion was going to stay forever. I think it was the closest thing coaching-wise and consistency with a Pete Richardson, with an Eddie Robinson, with a Fred McNair. And Alcorn State, you about to get your state back. So it's just a fact of the matter is that, for them not to have the effort for at least to try to have Deion to stay at least one more season. At least. That is a poor freaking effort. And that says a lot about HBCU schools. It's not everybody, because there's certain HBCU schools are making an effort to make sure that their athletic department and the school is being maintained. Because you look at FAMU, but FAMU's under fire a little bit right now. You look at Prairie View, how that has grown. It's amazing how some of these schools, but then some of the schools, same old, you know what I mean.
Let me say this right quick. Let me say this, because, well, there it is. Cotton Bowl, Tulane versus USC. And I posted all the major bowls last night on my page. And people telling me I was wrong on some of them. I haven't been wrong in 3 years.
Reggie?
Yeah, that's one of them. But
Reggie? What you got to say about that?
Yes, Tulane against USC. Caleb Williams will be questionable with a torn hamstring or quad, one of the two. We'll see. But back to the show. Here we are. I'm going to ask you this question. I heard about the marketing from the guy you played on the video. My question is, how much money could Jackson State put out there to market?
That's a hell of a good question. And then the thing is, it depends on what their budget is. But it ain't just with Jackson State. The city of, the city of Jackson could have really jumped on this. So it's a bunch of people. Because you have to think about this. Ole Miss, you look at Ole Miss, you look at Southern Miss, you look at Mississippi State. Yeah, the school alone will put in marketing, but then you got the other sponsors that's going to get into
Mm-hmm.
it. Then you
Yeah.
got the city of the government itself or the marketing of the city. So it's separate. So the thing is, why somebody just didn't hop out it or just had a meeting with the business commission and said how we can just take advantage of something like this, the success. Can we do that? Because we ain't used to average over 60,000 a game until the last 2 years. How can we do that? Especially we can appease Deion Sanders, that he can probably just convince him to maybe stay for maybe just at least another year. Because we know he's gonna leave soon. But we got to embrace this and appreciate what he's doing and support him fully. When you can see that I think the athletic department did have his back, they have his interest, but I think the administration outside of the athletic department, to be honest, didn't really give two damns. So it's bad for that and the marketing department in the city of Jackson, knowing it's a poor city. It don't get me wrong. Jackson is a nice place. I like Jackson, but it's a poor city, and that's what it is. And guess what? If you don't take advantage of what is there that can help your city to be successful, then you're screwed.
George, any last word about Deion Sanders?
He's a smart businessman. That's one thing. But hearing the video, I mean, that was part of the lively discussion leaving Gilman Stadium last night. I mean, we had to give an impromptu mathematician lesson last night. $300,000 or $7.5 million. What are you taking? I'm taking the money and I'm running. I mean, but again, I brought this. I kind of briefly said this for a black man to have a major coaching opportunity. This is Deion Sanders showing you it can be done.
Yeah.
Win and you can make it happen. Colorado, now to the athletic administration of Colorado, you've committed these resources to him. Stand behind him. Let him do his thing. Get out of his way. Look
Yeah.
look at the results. Deion is a results coach. He's not one of these prima donnas like a player, like he was a player. He's all about the bling and the shine and all that. As a football coach, it's about business, and he understands that. Deion Sanders, look, he wasn't one of my favorite players in in football. I still remember Stephen A. Smith saying he was the greatest defensive player ever. Foolishness. I mean, but that's another debate for another day. But I wish him nothing but the best in Colorado. I think he's going to do great things there. I really, really do. And I think there's going to be a legacy that he's got to fulfill, and that's Bill McCartney. That guy ran a clean
Gotcha.
program, and Deion runs a clean program at Jackson. You don't hear none of this foolishness about players doing this, doing that, and coaches cheating and videos and Spygates and all that. You don't hear any of that nonsense. Deion runs a very airtight program in Colorado. You got a winner.
All right. Let's move on to the LHSAA State Football Championship game starting this Thursday. Let's get right into it, fellas. Thursday, 3:30 p.m. Number 8, Oak Grove taking on number 2, Homer VK. Who you got?
Homer has been, they have been a proven commodity, very, very good program and everything. And I think it's the battle of the Tigers, I believe.
No,
So, huh? No, no.
Homer is the Pelican.
That's right. You're right. Thank you, George. Homer
You up?
is the Pelicans. Very, very good squad. They got to the title game last year, I believe. So they're back and everything else. I would love to pick Oak Grove, but I think Homer's gonna get redemption. I think Homer's gonna get it done in a very close game against Oak Grove.
George.
Somebody on here thought Haynesville would beat Oak Grove last week, and it wasn't me.
It was me.
Don't want to name names. I know humble pie is a good thing sometimes, but to be completely honest, I think this is the blowout of the weekend. I don't see an avenue in which this game is close. Homer is going to destroy Oak Grove. Oak Grove has done well to get here. They're not ready to win a state championship. This program doesn't have what Homer has. The Pelicans have played a much tougher schedule, and they beat a much better team last week in Mangum. to get here. I think, and also the early kickoff, and both teams having to travel a long way. I believe the Pelicans being here last year are going to get it done convincingly. This is, to me, the Avalanche of the weekend. I'm going to go Homer.
I'm with you. I'm going Homer also. I just don't see Oak Grove hanging in there with Homer. I got Oak Grove winning. The
Wait,
D4
you got a
non-select
Homer or
championship.
Homer?
I got a Homer. Homer.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, now 7 o'clock. D4 select championship. Vermilion Catholic versus Washita Christian. I'm going to go first. I have Washita Christian. VK.
I'm gonna Vermilion Catholic, hell of a squad, and they're very consistent in itself. But I'm gonna go with Duck Dynasty and Washita Christian winning another state title.
George.
Oh, you guys are going to go with the tried and true. I get it. I understand it. But I'm a believer in versatility and defense, and Vermilion Catholic checks both boxes. St. Martin's and Harlan Barry is an outstanding running back, and Vermilion Catholic ate his lunch. They ate his lunch Friday night. Watchdog Christian, proud program, been here numerous times. I feel like this is Vermilion Catholic's time, and I'm going to go with the top seed. They were the 1 seed for a reason. They've played great teams. They're going to finally get their just desserts and take down the state championship. It's going to be a good game, but I believe Vermilion Catholic gets it done.
Okay. Let's move to Friday. Friday at 12 o'clock. D2 select championship. STM versus LCA. George, go first.
Lafayette Christian's my pick. I mean, yeah, St. Thomas More and Jim Hightower, incredible program, legacies. They've done outstanding work, won a couple of state titles. But Lafayette Christian, man, the last 2 weeks they have scored 138 points. Insane numbers. They have a quarterback, I forget his name, but this kid torched De La Salle 2 weeks ago. And they went to Turlings, who's a pretty good football team, and they rang up 68 points on their carpet, on their field. White hot offense wins state championship. Lafayette Christian proves that the move up wasn't a fluke, and they win a close game against St. Thomas More. I'll take Lafayette Christian.
VK.
The over under, take over 60. Take over 60 for this one. Take over 60 because it's going to be that type of a game. I think this is going to be a close game. St. Thomas More so consistent all year. Jim Hightower outstanding once again, trying to look for another state title. But I ain't gonna lie, LCA has really convinced me, and they're on a mission. They're on a mission from God, and like I said, they're looking for redemption after what happened last year against St. Charles Catholic. I got LCA getting it done over STM in a close one. Don't be surprised. It might be 55-50, the final score, or 60-55. That's how close of a shootout. That's going to be the longest game of the weekend.
Most definitely will, but I'm going LCA. And I think STM will have trouble stopping this passing game that has taken off for the past 2 weeks. They've already had a good passing game, but these past 2 weeks, this passing game has been extraordinary. I got LCA. Now, next matchup, it's going to be a good one. D3 Select Championship. Friday, 3:30 p.m. Number 4, Dunham versus number 2, St. Charles Catholic. VK.
Man, this is going to be a very close one here. I think this game maybe is going to be one of the top games of the weekend because of the fact that both teams are evenly matched and all that stuff. I think Dunham has done outstanding this year, overcame a lot to get to this point, and they're proving a lot of folks wrong. They're proving me wrong. They are the real deal, but St. Charles Catholic and Wayne, and I'll tell you, Wayne Stein and his squad, they have gotten healthy at the right time. And I tell you, the experience, especially at quarterback, is going to be huge. And I think St. Charles Catholic can get it done. It'll be a very close one indeed. I wouldn't be surprised by a field goal. I'm gonna go with the comments going back to back.
George Peppers.
Maybe one of the more defensive-minded games of the week. St. Charles's defense we know about. Dunham is underrated defensively. Good coaching matchup too with Indes and Stein. Wayne Stein in 2 years' time may equal Frank's state championship call if he wins this game. I think if you like defense and you like physicality, this is your game. It's scheduled in the perfect spot. I just think before these playoffs started, this was supposed to be the primetime game, but somebody forgot the memo. That would be Dunham and St. Charles. That being said, I'm going to go with the comments, but it's going to be, I'd say 17-14, something like that, if it gets that high. But I'm going to go with the comments by a field goal.
And George, let me correct you. It's not Brad Indes. That's at Dunham. It's
Okay.
Neil Weiner. Neil Weiner, the head coach.
Not Catholic's old head coach, huh?
Actually, that's Dale Weiner's son.
Oh, Dale's son. Okay.
Yeah, it's Neil Weiner.
All right. Thank you.
Gonna be a good ball game, fellas. Good ball game. Tell you that right now. St. Charles, Dunham beating University after University destroyed Newman. It's gonna be a good ball game, fellas. But I think Dunham is gonna walk out as state champions. D3. I got Dunham over St. Charles Catholic.
Okay, it's just I'm gonna say okay. It's probably and it's a good pick. I'm not gonna knock you on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking you're kind of bitter after week one. If you
No, not bitter.
no, you're not. Oh, you moved on. Okay.
Get to the championship. Not
Okay.
bitter.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
bitter at all. That's week one. Way over that, man.
Okay.
Not bitter. I just think
Cool.
when we did picks, I said I think Dunham could be a dangerous sleeper. I did say that. Here we
And
are.
they are, and they have beaten some real good squads. So I not gonna pick you cannot go wrong either way with
You beat
whoever you
University twice in 1 year. You got something.
pick.
Yes.
Agreed. And beating University is a tough task most of the time.
Yeah,
It's tough to beat them once, but they did it 2 times.
Mhm.
sure did. Sure did. All right, guys. The main event for Friday night. Number 1 Ruston taking on number 3 Destrehan D1 non-select championship. Who you got, VK?
Well, the one championship I predicted from the beginning of the season that would happen. It's all I'm gonna tell you. I just gotta love it when the premonition comes through and the manifestation is right there. You know, you talked about it. You preached a little bit earlier about opportunity, and it's Sunday. It's Sunday and everything else. But like I said, the Ruston Bearcats, they've been building it up for years and years, winning 5 straight years on the road and like 5-6 straight road playoff victories. We just knew that this Ruston team was coming and they're taking over North Louisiana. And right now, they are really taking over. They're doing well this season. Great. And it's great for them to get to the title game. Destrehan, we talked with Mark Scott earlier. And I mean, for him to get over the hump to get to his first state title game. Should be a very close one. And I can't wait to meet the coaches and the people at Ruston, man. I'm a big time proponent of you, but I got to go the other way. The Destrehan Wildcats and Marcus Scott is gonna get his payoff. The state championship, the 4th one for the Destrehan Wildcats over Ruston, and that might be the game of the weekend as well.
George Peppers.
So this man has just resigned as the president of the West Bank chapter of the Ruston Bearcats fan club on Hash It Out. He has just resigned as the president of the West Bank chapter
He pulled a
of the
Deion.
Ruston Bearcats. No, he ain't pulling a Deion because $7.5 million ain't in the equation. So, but all kidding aside, look, I listened to some of the interview with Marcus Scott. He's one of my favorite people. I have a story to share, but I'm not going to do it on here because it involves a laced profanity in a football game. But Marcus Scott's one of my favorite people. Yes, he coached at Arrett, and I wish John Arrett would have had the foresight to keep him, but they didn't. And that's again, I don't mean to be sour grape and on hash it out on a Sunday, but I love Marcus Scott. I think he's one of the classiest coaches I've known. One of my favorite interviews when BK and I did Prep Plus for years. Um, but in this game, look, there's something to be said about Destrehan and what they did Friday night to Westgate. Westgate's got athletes on
Yeah.
offense. They got dudes that can make a lot of plays. And Destrehan, I've said this since the beginning of the year. I thought Destrehan would be your state champion in D1, and that was with Zachary in there. Ruston impressed me by waylaying Zachary the way they did, but I'm a believer in defense. And Jai Eugene is the difference maker in this game. This could be the game of the weekend. I think it's one of them, but I'm going to go with Destrehan close.
I'm with you. I got Destrehan close. I actually got them coming down the field, last minute drive, game winning field goal. I got Destrehan. Yes, I do. Now, let's go to Saturday games.
I think somebody in the family might say something to you since you picked that, but I know you're doing it professionally, but you know how the real parish is. But
all my Hornville family can say what they want to say, but I guarantee you they pull up a Destrehan.
Just like the St. James people might be pulling for this team we're about to talk about next.
That's correct. D2 non-select Saturday 12 o'clock North DeSoto taking on Lutcher. I'm going first. I think we're about to have a shootout. But Winfield, quarterback for Lutcher, gets the last say. I got Lutcher over Dennis Dunn's North DeSoto team. VK.
Dewan Lunch Winfield. If you don't know who he is, you're going to know who he is on Saturday afternoon. St. Charles, I'll tell you one thing, St. James Parish is going to shut it down for that one. Last one out. I'm telling you, it's going to be nothing nice. It's going to be a very good game indeed. I think Dennis Dunn has done a great job with North DeSoto, but I think it is going to be a shootout, but I think Dwayne Jenkins and the Lutcher Bulldogs will take out North DeSoto.
George?
I think this is going to be a very interesting football game. North DeSoto, with Dennis Dunn, they're going to probably come in here slinging it down the field in the dome. Lutcher, Dewan Winfield. This is his numbers from Friday night against a very solid West Feliciana. He had 45 carries for 331 yards, scored all 5 touchdowns. By the way, they had a 17-play drive for 83 yards. He had all the carries on that drive when they scored. This is a workhorse. North DeSoto, for Lutcher to win, they're going to have to keep North DeSoto off the field, and that means ball control. If they can establish Winfield early and often, feed him the rock, they'll probably win. But how about them dogs, VK? I'm just saying. There's a little inside joke there, but he knows. I think Lutcher wins it. I'll give you a 23-20 score. I think this is going to be a more button-down kind of game, and a button-down game favors Lutcher. North DeSoto is not going to disgrace themselves, and there's people saying this is Evangel Part 2. When Evangel first came on the scene against West St. John, no. Lutcher is going to get this done. They're back in the dome. The lights are bright. North DeSoto's not been here. Lutcher, it's been a minute, but they know their way through here. I think that will help them through in a close one.
All I got to say is watch them dogs. Who in the hell let the gate open?
3:30 game on Saturday. I'm definitely.
Who are you picking?
I got Lutcher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got Lutcher. 3:30 game on Saturday. Number 1 Manny taking on number 3 Union Parish. Tackett Curtis. Trey Holly. Woo woo! What a matchup this gonna be. Oh, this is my pick for Sean. I picked these two to get to the state championship. So who shall I pick to win this game? Man, Trey Holly got there last year. Didn't win. Manny got to the semis. didn't get to the state championship game. Now they both are here. I'm going with Tackett Curtis and the Manny Tigers to defeat the Union Parish Farmers and Trey Holly. VK.
Manning, I think, Manning won this thing 2 years ago, right? Right, George?
They got to the finals last year and lost to A-Meat. Let me correct you on that, Jared. They were in the dome last year, but A-Meat popped them pretty good last year. And 2 years ago they won it, I believe. VK, I believe you're right.
They won it 2 years ago. The same group, there's a lot of experience, a whole lot of experience. Union Parish, they're looking to try to, they got popped big time years ago against Madison Prep. Both of these teams looking for redemption. They're looking for redemption and everything else. I like what Tackett Curtis and Coach Curtis over at Manny has done. Hell of a program. But I'm going to go with Trey Holly and Union Parish to win the whole thing. Close game, probably the game of the weekend. It's going to be a nuts ball game on Saturday.
All right, George.
Oh boy, Union Parish was 2 years ago. They got whipped 50-0, 50-something-0 by Madison Prep. That was 2 seasons ago. That was their last trip here. Well, actually, they got here last year and they lost to Sterlington. So this is their 3rd consecutive trip to the Superdome. Many though, I mean, since the split, this program has benefited the most. With the advent of the split, do we like it? No. But I'm going to put some respect on Jess Curtis, the head coach, taking advantage of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And this program has been consistent. I've covered this program living in Central Louisiana for 12 years, and I know everything about this program. What I do know is that an individual battle will commence. You mentioned Trey Holly and Tackett Curtis. I'm not the biggest fan of Manny. I'll admittedly tell you I'm not the biggest fan of that program. I respect them, but some of the things they do, and I won't discuss because it may open up a Pandora's box that I don't want to open up. But I'm going to take Manny to win this state championship. Tackett Curtis is that alpha dog. I've seen Holly play. We saw him last year, but wasn't much because they got blasted. I'm going to take Manny with you, Jared. I'm going with the Tigers to take down the title.
All right. And the last game of the weekend, the Saturday main event. 2 Catholic League teams going at it. D1 Select Championship. Number 3, John Curtis. Number 13, Brother Martin. If you would have told me these 2 teams would have been a championship at the beginning of the season, I would have said, you're crazy. But here we are. VK Jones is going to go first.
Well, Reggie Johnson, would you please have your earphones or whatever ready and listen up, please? Listen up, because now we're to the game you wanted. Now, Curtis, like we mentioned last week, they look like the old school Curtis. Big plays is huge for them. When they take advantage of big plays, man, I tell you, John Curtis is kind of hard to beat, especially when they get a lead. So the key is they're going to have to jump on Brother Martin if they're going to win this ball game. Brother Martin, man, I tell you, they have been the hottest team in the playoffs. They had came on at the right time. Torrey Lambert has been sensational. I mean, sensational. And how their offenses came around, knowing Brother Martin has a really, really good defense. And I think Brother Martin's going to have to set the tone first against Curtis. They're going to have to set the tone first. They had some slow starts, but they cannot have no slow start against Curtis, because I think Curtis is the type of team that can probably put a game away. So it'll be interesting itself, close. It is a hard one to pick. Got a lot of respect for JT Curtis and a lot of respect for my guy, Mark Bonice. You know what? I'm going to go with the Brother Martin Crusaders. Breaking the curse. First state title since first state championship appearance since 1989. But first state title since the 60s. it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be Brother Martin. I'm going to say by field goal. It's going to be that close.
George.
I'm going to concur with something you said at the a few minutes ago. If you'd have told me these two teams were going to play on December the 11th in the Caesar Superdome before the year started, I'd have thought of the Morgan Freeman line on "Lean on Me," but you know that's pretty much the long and the short of it. Toy Lambert Friday night from Brother Martin, 5 touchdowns, 300 rushing yards, and they skull dragged Karen Crow. But John Curtis was down 14-3 at Baton Rouge Catholic on the road. They showed a lot of mettle and heart to come back against that team who beat Edna Carr 2 weeks ago. There's something to be said about teams that can face adversity and overcome it. John Curtis has been that team. Their loss this year was to Carr. And Edna Carr, there's no shame there. There's no shame in losing and whatnot. Brother Martin, it's been a while since you've gotten here. It's been a long while. And Mark Bonise, check out his backstory. If you want admiration and you want to admire somebody that has overcome, he almost died a couple of years ago. He was on the operating table and they weren't sure he was going to make it, but he did. Now his daughter has gotten sick and he's got to deal with that. He's had to deal with that. So he has overcome a lot. And this Brother Martin team shook the same curse that Marcus Scott had with Destrehan. Now they're both playing for state titles. However, I'm going to go with the experience and the know-how. Nothing against Brother Martin, Reggie Johnson. I know you're listening. Much love, but I've got to take the tried and true. John Curtis wins this game, but it's going to be very close. This may be the game of the weekend. This may be it.
I guess I get the last say on this one. It took all year for Brother Martin's offense to finally start clicking. And right now, that is a scary offense. Very scary. You put up 55 on Karen Crow. A good Karen Crow team. You beat St. All 27-24. Northwood Trees came down. You put up 28-29 on them. But then again, I think about Curtis. Curtis went to Baton Rouge Catholic and beat them, who had just beat Edna Carr. Like, how you put this together? How? I don't know how. So
Flip a coin.
I have to make a pick. And I'm going to say Brother Martin will get the job done over John Curtis. I think the offense is just too scary right now. It's finally clicking. It's what Coach Bonnie's been waiting for the whole year. And it finally showed up after being down 20-0 to Woodlawn. Brother Martin, Division I, state champions. So,
wow.
And you have it, the Citrus Bowl, LSU versus Purdue. All right, back to the show. Back to the show.
Yeah.
George, you got any last words before we go?
Just a final addition on Brother Martin. You know who they remind me of? Ponchatoula last year. That's who this Brother Martin team reminds me of, because they could score the football a lot. But we'll see. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to next weekend because we'll all three be congregating again next weekend at the Caesar Superdome to enjoy and partake in the festivities. And VK and I will probably both be busy on Saturday, probably having 2 games to do with pre-games, half-times, and whatnot, or maybe some sideline reporting. So we're going to be plenty busy. But now, to close it out, look, it's 2 hours of fun when we get together and do this. I wish I would have recorded last night's conversation on the way out of Yeoman when we were talking about Deion, because that was gold. That would have been ratings gold. Much love, BK, and I'm glad you've come to the right side of the equation on that. But to y'all, we'll do this again next week. Looking forward to it. I myself am just gonna chill the rest of the day because I've got a study tomorrow. I've got a class that I've got to pass starting tomorrow. So the rest of the Sunday will be probably partaking in some football, but mostly getting ready to do this class starting tomorrow. And on that note, gentlemen, you have a blessed Sunday and enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe, whatever you do.
All right, George. Thank you, man.
Thank you, George.
VK, last
But
word.
I tell you, like I said, it'll be great to see both Marcus Scott and Mark Bondi's gets the title. The thing he talked about with the operation, and remember, it was the year when Romo played Brother Martin in the semifinals, and I was there for that. And I was talking with Coach Bondi's. We talked for a good minute before the game, and it happened probably about 2 days after that game. And it really kind of hurt my heart because the fact of the matter is, I'm like, I just talked to this dude a couple days ago. And I know he's been going through it health-wise, and he's been doing great, going through it with his kids, and I think this is a great redemption story for him to get the state title, and also a big redemption story for Marcus Scott. So I wish the best for both of those guys, and I hope that they get it done, especially Brother Mark. But it was good to be here today. Good for all the people in the state to watch us today. We didn't get as much comments as we was last week, but it's okay. It's okay. But soon we're going to do a little bit more hoops soon and stuff like that, because we've been doing a lot of football, a whole lot of football. So it's been kind of hard to dip into the hoop scene, but we're going to be dipping to the hoop scene soon. So looking forward to it, and looking forward to, it's been enjoyable for this weekend. I'm going to LSU Tulane women later on. So looking forward to that. Hopefully it's a good game. And at the same time, shout out to Tulane University, what they've done this year, and looking forward to next week, Superdome. And also Cotton Bowl has been announced. And get your tickets now. It is on Monday, January 2nd. At 11 a.m. So meaning you ain't got nothing to worry about, because it's not going to be on New Year's Day. It's going to be on the day after. So thank goodness I don't have to go back to work to that following Tuesday. So I'm happy about that. I get to watch with a drink in my hand and enjoying Tulane, kicking some Trojan butt.
Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. I'll be in the Dome this weekend. I will be there. I got some games to watch. The end of the high school football season once again. 15 weeks, just like that. Fast. But thank y'all for tuning in. For VK, for George Peppers, I'm JB. We'll see y'all next Sunday. We will review all the state games right here on the Hash It Out Show. Y'all take care.